Welcome to the Revolve Recap Weekly Podcast, where we help the members of Revolve, that's you guys and gals, deepen your connection to God, His family, His mission, and keep you in the loop of all things Revolve.
Revolve, that's how our good friend Michael in Germany, shout out.
Yep, shout out to our boy Michael.
He's our friend.
Yep.
He's our buddy.
And he's a faithful listener.
Mm-hmm. He is a faithful listener. He's a faithful listener. He's from Egypt.
Yep. Unlike my wife, who never listens.
And Melissa, if you are listening, you'll make a comment. And if you don't make a comment, we know you didn't listen.
Exactly. My name is David McCumber, and this is my co-host,
Bill Lackey.
Bill Lackey. So we got a good one here for you today. Bill, give us the intro here. You wrote
It's a good one.
Good intro here.
I changed the intro up 5 seconds ago, maybe like 20, 30, 45 seconds ago. Now it's 48. Dave, what are you drinking?
Capri Sun.
Well, you got to flip it around so they can see it. Oh. Give the people what they want. What was that? Strawberry kiwi?
Strawberry kiwi.
Kiwi strawberry. Do you remember the Snapple kiwi strawberry? That was like super popular when we were in high school.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, it's because of that Snapple lady. Do you remember her? It was the Snapple lady. Yeah, they were like spokesperson. It was this like just middle-aged average lady. She's like, I'm the Snapple lady.
She's like, I'm middle-aged Jane. Plain Jane's what they tell. Okay, intro question.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Am I ready? I don't know. Are you ready? Here's the question. Tell me about something you kind of want to do, but you need wisdom from God.
You are. I feel like you already know the answer to this.
But the people don't, about whether or not to do it.
Oh man, I'm not ready to go public with this.
Well, I guess you better think of something else.
Man, I really want to take.
You want me? Am I putting you on the spot?
I want to take Hadi and Michael to go see Dude Perfect in Germany.
Are you serious? This is the thing? This is your thing.
This is no. So
no. My goodness.
My thing.
No. You said it.
My thing was.
If you think you should do it, let him know.
Well, Michael's definitely going to say yeah.
Michael doesn't. Michael, do you know what Dude Perfect is? Sorry,
Billy. Do you know how a microphone works?
I got so excited.
No, I saw last night. We were watching Dude Perfect, and they're doing a tour, and they're stopping in Germany. And I was like, how cool would it be to go see Dude Perfect in Germany with my missionary bros?
Germany's a big country.
It is. I haven't really. Well, you said I need wisdom, and the first thing I'd probably do is I should look up to see where in Germany.
It's in Germany, Idaho.
Oh, that's what it is. Is there Germany, Idaho?
I don't know. Paris, Texas.
It's in German, Pennsylvania Dutch.
That's what it is. It's in Germantown.
Germantown, PA. No, I joke about that one though. But that was the first thing that came to my mind when I saw that Dude Perfect was coming to Europe. I was like, oh, that'd be cool to go see.
That would be cool.
It'd be
I hope they don't kill any bees.
That's true. They take that very serious in Germany. But no, the real thing is I want to open another gallery.
Galleria. A shooting gallery?
A shooting gallery. No, I want to open
peanut gallery.
I want to open an art gallery / creative arts academy.
Oh.
So it would be like
academia.
So it would be like a school for kids who want to read good
and want to do other stuff good too.
Yeah. So, but it would be a school for art. So learning the craft of art and illustration, but also maybe some of the some of the, I don't want to say business side of it, but a little bit more of the practical elements of promotion and, how
marketing
to make
and stuff?
How to make a living as an artist. Yeah. So, for older kids, the younger kids would just be for.
Can adults go?
I gotta seek wisdom. I need wisdom.
Well, listen, you guys are not God. I know you think you are sometimes.
No.
But if you like David's idea and you're like, I'm down with that, let him know. Smash like
now.
Make a comment.
But I think where I need wisdom is just, it feels like a good idea. And really ever since Reggie's funeral that we went to last year, hearing the impact that he had on young people's lives using creativity, using his music and his drums and his dancing was really, I just feel like having a talent as an artist to be able to help young people, but then also have a gallery to show my artwork. And I just feel like it'd be a really cool, creative space.
Yeah.
But the wisdom is it costs money and time. And
if you want to fund it for David so he can do it, no strings attached,
that'd be great.
let us know.
Let us know. What about you, Billy? You got something?
I might, if you do it, I could come to your little thing because mine, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Well, you know how the government wants to make TikTok illegal?
Yeah.
So now that they want to make TikTok illegal, I want to start a TikTok.
And then what? You'll just make a TikTok and then it'll go away in a week and you're like, I did it.
It's going to take a year, and that's assuming it doesn't get overturned. And it was like one of these things where I was like, you know what? When we were in Germany, I kept meeting people who had come to faith through TikTok.
Yeah, it's really strange.
And it was like, I think my pride was upset about it because I was like, no, only the sola scriptura, only the Bible, no TikTok.
Yeah.
It's more like a demon talk, you
Yeah.
know? And I've had this thing in the back of my brain that it's like, this is a platform which you hate because you're 42. Am I 42? 43? Whatever. In my 40s.
I'll be 44 in 2 months.
So I'll be 43 in August. So, and thinking about the fact that, is this a demographic that is, there's not a lot of depth to Instagram and TikTok. And if we'd had a strategic push for discipleship principles on those platforms, could we actually really be helpful to people? Not like something that's real shallow, but something that's actually bite-sized nuggets that are profoundly deep and then feed somewhere else, like to a website, like Discovering Discipleship or something like that. But I hate social media. And so there's a part of me that's like, this is a good idea.
Yeah.
And then the other part of me goes, this is a terrible idea. But I think it's one of those things where if I knew it would work, I would totally do it.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like it's swallowing my pride.
Well, and then what is the definition of work?
As in, if it would help people grow in their faith and equip them to be disciples who multiply.
Yeah.
Like if God said, if you do this, there's going to be an extra 10,000 people who you wind up giving simple, reproducible biblical tools to grow in their discipleship.
Yeah.
I would do it.
Yeah.
If he said, there's going to be 1,000 people. I said, what, Lord, what there's 10?
It's like Sodom and
It's like
Gomorrah.
Sodom. No, but that's so, guys, you think I should start TikTok? What do you think? I can wear like a stormtrooper mask when I do it?
Something.
This
I
is
don't
the
know.
way.
Yeah, it's definitely,
I'm just chewing on it, and I realize some of you are probably laughing, but there's a kid at No Limits Academy who I've been meeting, who I like interact with. He comes to our Bible study. He came to faith through TikTok listening to presuppositional Van Tillian apologetics.
So
Exactly.
So for those who don't know what that is,
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
And so he came to faith through TikTok, and now he's coming to Bible study. And I thought to myself, what if there was more stuff that was actually robust
yeah,
on TikTok
yeah,
and Instagram?
Yeah, so a guy that I meet with for discipleship was sharing of some of the Instagram accounts he follows, and he said kind of like the opposite, where a lot of the content he comes across is very shallow. He called it
Fortune cookie.
where it's just kind of like, here's a good thought for the day, like
Yeah.
love your neighbor,
Right.
or something where it's just like sending some positive vibes out, no different than a Gandhi quote or something.
Right. But if you did that properly in a way that fed something deeper, if there's always an invitation to a next step, hey, check out this YouTube channel or website, or I don't know.
So let's do this. Here's is like we've never done this before. We're kind of making this up on the fly. Why don't we look at the sermon and look at what we're talking about, and then maybe at the end, let's revisit this conversation.
All right, let me make a note.
Yeah, make a note of that. I just making things up as we go.
All right, I'm ready.
And then we could go through the lesson.
Oh my gosh.
Because this is what the lesson's kind of on.
And I'm going to come back home today and I'm going to be like, Gina, I'm a TikTok star.
Really?
And you're like, Melissa, we signed a lease.
Yep. Yep. Wouldn't be the first time that happened. We bought a boat. All right, so we're just going to take a quick 10-second break here. Stretch your legs. Think about, hey, while we're on our break.
Stretching my legs. You told me to stretch my legs.
No, I didn't tell you to kick everything under the table.
I'm sorry.
So think about, what are some things that you need wisdom? Is there a big decision right now that you're going to chew on, and then hopefully as we're talking today, you can be praying through it? We're making big decisions today on RevolveRecap.
Oh man, that's gonna be the title.
Is it recap? Recap.
Recap.
You know what I just learned?
Recap.
I probably learned this in English when I was a child, but I just relearned it. That there are, if you go on Merriam-Webster, if you go in the dictionary or you go online, you can look at the pronunciation of the word.
Yeah.
And there's a little dash
For the emphasis.
that tells you where the emphasis is.
I'm gonna blow your mind. You ready for this?
Yeah.
I just learned this last week. In English, and I think it's rooted in Latin. Gina said, in English, when you have a word that's a noun and a verb, and it's the same word, but it changes the meaning, the emphasis, like project and project, the emphasis switches to the second syllable.
Project and project.
And then, so if you think about anything like that, that's both a noun and a verb. Now I'm drawing a blank.
This is revolve. Does that work? Is there a noun? No, I guess there's not. I guess
Well, not really, because revolve's not a noun.
it's the name of a church.
It is the name.
So we were actually saying it wrong.
Revolve.
It should be
Revolve. Anyway, next.
Hey, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, project, project.
All right. So what are we doing here? We're going to look back.
I can't think of another one.
We're going to look back at the sermon. I'm really enjoying the Samuel series. I feel like it's like because it's a story.
I love preaching narratives.
It's just it's really fun.
I had a lot of people tell me I was funny yesterday, and I was like, why? And they're like, I don't know, just the way you retell stories.
Yeah.
Have like a guy came out of the ground like a gopher.
That is kind of funny. If you think about the
Christmas comment, that made a lot of people laugh.
No, I was thinking of the Pirates of the Caribbean on at Disney, like when you go through the ride and there's a guy that like peeks his head up out of the barrel.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was picturing.
Yep, me too. All right, so what are we going to do?
So 1 Samuel 14 we talked about yesterday on Sunday at Revolve, and it was just kind of these chapters, 13, 14, 15. You just see the cracks in the foundation of Saul's monarchy getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's what it was about. And so just kind of maybe we can recap the chapter. For those who don't know it, can we do that really quick?
Sure.
Like rotating bullets.
Okay.
Okay, ready? Chapter begins with Jonathan sneaking towards the garrison like Chuck Norris in Missing in Action 7. He's going to go rescue some fools, kill some fools.
What a bold move.
He's a bold guy.
Just him and his armor bearer.
Bold
We're going to go
Johnny.
in there. I wonder what the Philistines are doing today.
Yep.
You know? It'd just be like me and you being like, I wonder what the Taliban are doing. Why don't we just go and find out?
Let's do it.
So then Saul's guard sees that there's commotion. So they look over and they're going,
Oh my gosh, there they are.
Looks like a commotion. They probably had a big binocular.
Yeah.
Is that what that's called? What's that called? Not a periscope. Telescope?
Telescope.
Telescope.
A monocular isn't a monocle like Mr. Peanut.
Yeah.
They had a Mr. Peanut monocle.
Yep. Hey, what's going on over there? See? All right.
So then
they take a census.
They take a census and they realize Jonathan, bum, 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 is gone with his armor bearer, Frank.
So they can't decide what they're going to do, which, you made the statement yesterday. It's like your son's over there. It seems like a commotion. Maybe go help him out. But they're like, nah, let's roll the dice.
Yeah. So then they finally go and they realize that God's already winning this battle.
Yeah.
Everybody's panicking. The Philistines are sword fighting each other. Riposte.
My whole life I've heard it was the Philistines, and you're throwing me every time you say Philistine, it's messing me up. Why are you doing this?
Because it's Philistine.
Oh, that's why? Because that's what it is?
I heard that when I was listening to the Bible audio, and Ray Ortland was like, Philistine. And I was like, I've been saying it wrong for 42 years.
Yeah.
Philistine was my first word, and I said it wrong.
Really?
True story.
Uncircumcised Philistine.
That was the first thing I said. Somebody was changing my diaper, and I was like, you uncircumcised Philistine.
There's someone else that does, there's someone says Philemon.
Philemon.
Philemon. I always thought it was Philemon.
It's Philemon.
But you say Philemon. Man, I'm learning so much today. All right, so then we have a battle happening, and Saul makes a really foolish, both spiritual and physical vow. Hey, we're in a battle. Let's all fast.
Yes.
Great idea. Great idea.
He's
Saul.
like, we have a long day ahead of us, guys. And so, can I just make an aside here? Yeah. Aside. This has nothing to do with yesterday. Aside. This is what I find so comical about the Daniel fast. People treat it like a Daniel diet. And you watch these documentaries and they're like, if you eat only vegetables, you'll be in the best shape of your life.
Yeah.
And it's like, first of all, the reason you're going to be in better shape is because you're not eating processed foods.
Yeah.
But the miracle of the Daniel fast is that they were stronger after only eating vegetables. That's why it's a miracle. It's not because you actually get stronger from only eating carrots.
Yeah.
It's just, but you will lose weight because you're not eating chips.
Yeah.
Anyway, aside. So he says no eating. Nobody can eat. And he's saying this while Jonathan's over there. He doesn't even know what's going on. He's ignorant.
Yep.
And then
Jonathan's like, hey, look at all these bees in a trunk making all this honey. You know what would go good with a post-battle snack? Just put my hand in there.
Yep.
Winnie the Pooh it in there.
He just Winnie the Pooh'd it. And so or should we say he Winnie the Pooh? He Winnie the Pooh'd it. He ate some. He didn't know. The other soldiers were like, bro, you're not allowed to eat honey right now. And he's like, what? And they're like, your dad made a rule. And he's like, dumb.
Yeah.
And then
honey's like a superfood. It's so good for you.
Yeah. It was probably like Himalayan sea salt honey.
I don't think that's a thing.
Something real super that they sell at Green Street. This was Green Street honey. This was local Cape May honey.
Okay. So then they go into the battle. And
the next battle.
They go into the next battle, and they are like, man, we are hungry because we haven't been eating. So we're just going to eat the animals like a bunch of ravenous animals.
It's so funny when I picture like this guy he like finishes killing a Philistine Stevie.
And
then he sees a sheep and he just cuts his head
I'm
off
so
and just goes
hungry.
to town. He's like, wool and all.
Hungry. I remember when I used to work out and I was in shape, I remember going to the gym at like 5:30 a.m. and then come home and eat like 6 eggs and sausage and like on a big burrito and be like, arr, arr, arr. Never did I want to just cut open a goat.
Just eat the egg raw.
Although I will say, I was tuna fishing one time and I caught this tuna and I fought it for like 45 minutes or an hour. You really got to fight a tuna.
Yeah.
We got it on. We cut it open and ate it right there on the boat. So that's kind of the same.
And then you realized it wasn't a tuna. It was a squid.
No, it was a tuna. It was pretty obvious.
Squid?
No, it was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Some fresh sushi, though.
So then Saul panics and he's like, you guys can't do this. It's a violation of the law. And they kind of rein everything in. And then he's like, hey, let's go kill some more stuff.
Yeah.
But God won't tell. He asks God if he should go, and God won't give an answer. And so they start casting lots to figure out why. And it turns out that according to this lot system, Jonathan is in sin. And so he says, Jonathan, what did you do? And Jonathan's like,
I ate the honey, bro.
I ate some honey, Dad.
Yeah, I guess you went.
And he's like,
Has Corey called me bro?
Eden has been calling me bro lately, and I correct her all the time.
Corey told me to chill last night.
Chill, bro.
And I actually did the opposite.
And you're like, I will pile drive you. And so, so he's like, I ate the honey. And his dad's like, well, now you're going to die.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the army, they jump in and they're like, whoa. You're not going to kill your son, moron.
Yeah.
And Saul's like,
he's like our best fighter. He just went out and killed some Philistines on his own.
He has 50% of the swords. Right. And so, and that's it. That's the whole story. And so it's a really weird story.
Yeah.
And it's really all identifying the weakness of Saul,
Yeah. Do you think there's any symbolism in the honey? That was a thought I had yesterday. Because, honey is often pointed as like the word of God. I don't know.
I don't know.
It was just kind of interesting that it was honey. And honey's often points to the word of God. I'll just say the same thing twice.
I don't know. I really don't know. But I do know that if we were going to psychoanalyze Saul, what do we see here in like the way Saul acted?
He's so impulsive.
Super impulsive.
Just
like signs
but
of
then
lease.
like super impulsive, but then also like not impulsive.
Yeah. It's really weird. He's a very complex person.
Yeah. Which people would probably say the same thing about you or I.
Anybody.
Yeah. Because
But
there's,
for
you know,
us,
I'll
for
be like,
sure.
oh yeah, I'll buy a boat. You want me to buy a boat?
Yeah.
I'll buy a boat. But then it's like, should I open this store? I don't know. Let me put
Should
out
I
a
have
fleece.
a burrito or a taco?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I can't decide.
Yep. So he's decisive or indecisive.
Indecisive and impulsive. Interesting combination.
Yeah. I think, you know, kind of talking about what we talked about last week, he's just not comfortable as a leader.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a posture you have to take as a leader. Like, I think about it often as a dad. Like, I want to be honest and I want to be vulnerable with my children, with my family. But it's like, if I don't have enough money to pay the mortgage, like, I can't let them see me crack. Like, I can't, you know what I mean? There's a certain posture as a leader that you have to, like.
Confidence.
Everything's going to be okay. We're trusting in God. We're moving forward.
Like that meme with a guy drinking the coffee when the room's on fire.
Yeah.
It's a good leader.
Yeah.
This is fine.
Everything's fine.
No, I hear what you're saying. I think that, and we're going to see that this coming week in 1 Samuel 15, that Saul is insecure and he fears people. Like he's got an approval idolatry and he's insecure. So he's always judging, Saul, sorry.
Saul is Michael Scott from The Office.
You know, it's funny you say that because when you said indecisive and impulsive, I thought like Michael Scott.
Yeah.
Indecisive, but impulsive. Michael Scott for sure.
Yep.
That's a great way to put it. So Saul is Michael Scott. Maybe I'll use that in my sermon next week.
Yep.
Maybe I'll just show Office clips, you know?
As memes, as TikTok reels.
As TikTok reels. So he wavers, he waffles, he makes a waffle.
Yeah.
That's what he does. So the question though is why?
Yeah.
As we looked at yesterday, why does Saul do what he does? Why is Saul the way that he is? Why are you the way that you are, Saul?
The way that you are. What gives you the right,
Saul.
Saul?
So what did we say yesterday?
I think he has bad theology.
He's got bad theology. He's got truth problems.
He doesn't quite understand. He doesn't understand God.
Yeah.
You know?
So, for example, he treats God like a pagan god. So you remember earlier in 1 Samuel, they brought the ark into the battle thinking that would be like their good luck charm.
Yeah.
I didn't mention this for the sake of time, but what did Saul do yesterday? He brought the ark into battle.
Yeah.
So like Saul behaves as a guy who doesn't really know theology. He doesn't really know who God is, even though God couldn't be clearer with Saul. Like how many people have the prophet of Israel come and chat with them? But that's what we see. Saul's like, oh, well, I mean, I know you said that, but is it true? Have you seen my donkey?
You see my donkey?
Does that make sense?
Yes. What else?
He has belief problems because he has truth problems.
Which I think is a little bit of what we have, what we were talking about. Even he doesn't believe that like he's the anointed king.
Yeah.
Like you have a role to play here, and this is a role that God has given you, which Samuel talks about in chapter 15. You alluded to it last week, but there's a line where he's like, Saul, you're the anointed king. You got one job to do.
Right.
And it's like he doesn't believe. I don't think he's like taking on that role.
Well, I think it's important for us to realize that all these things cascade. Like they kind of overlap. It's like if this is truth, this is belief. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so they all kind of cascade. It's like a truth problem leads to a belief problem, leads to a wisdom problem, because the definition of wisdom is the application of knowledge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like truth. What's like, you are king. Am I really king? You're not going to behave like king. That's wisdom. And then an action problem, you're not going to act like a king.
Yeah.
So like truth, belief, wisdom, action, these cascading steps, it's like they kind of, if you think about it like this, it's like you have truth, and then if you put, belief here, and you put wisdom, and you put action, it's like if you, at any point in time, if you knock out one of those blocks, the rest of them are going to fall, like a Jenga tower. You know what I mean?
Is there a kind of improvising this? Is there a modern day like example we could think about that, or something in our own life where we have a truth problem, or if we understand truth, it turns into a belief, which turns into wisdom, turns into action?
The gender dysphoria. I mean, like think about that. It's like we stopped believing that gender is given to you and assigned at birth, and because we no longer believe that's true, now we have all kinds of jacked up wisdom about, oh, your kid is depressed. It's probably because he's a girl.
Yeah.
And so that's like, now we're applying that false belief to a scenario, and then we're acting on it by cutting off their genitals.
Yeah.
And so that's like truth, belief, wisdom, action. You know, we have a false truth, and then we believe in that false truth, which then leads to a faulty wisdom, which then leads to faulty action. And then 20 years from now, we're going to be like, this was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Because we're going to realize that it didn't play out. You know, and so I think whether that, or divorce, you know, promiscuity, all of these things, it's like, I should have as many partners as I feel like having, and then I'm going to believe in that truth. I'm going to then think this is the way I should act. I'm going to act on that truth. And now I have an STD. You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I think we could look at it in maybe so that would be, those would be negative ways to look at it. I think.
Yeah.
And if there was like
That's
a positive.
why they call me Negative Billy.
Well, you went to the extreme.
I did.
You were like, I think we're just going to talk about
Child pornography.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, let's, which was true, what you said was true, but I was thinking like, even if,
Give us something positive, Davey.
the thing that comes to my mind is just, like with your money, with tithing, the truth is, one, it's a commandment. Two, you're trusting in God. So the truth is that God will provide for your needs.
Yeah, you're believing that's going to make
You're
a difference.
going to believe. So wisdom would say, I'm going to budget appropriately so that I'm not overspending, so that I can give appropriate and above and beyond to the church and to missionaries and all that.
Yep.
Which is my action.
And then you act on it.
I'm going to go and act on it.
That's a lot more user-friendly than my illustrations.
Yes.
Which will get me canceled on TikTok.
That could be your goal.
To get canceled?
Just see how fast you can get kicked off of TikTok. That was a lot of...
Man. I could be... Anyway, let's keep going.
All right.
So if you compare... Now, that's how Saul acts.
Yeah.
All right? Now you compare him to his son. Mm-hmm. What is Jonathan believes that God says, I want you to defeat the Philistines.
Yeah.
He puts his trust in that. Then he says, okay, God, how and when do you want me to do this? And he asks God, okay, if I'm going to do this, then do this, God, confirm it. And then he acts on it. So it's like Jonathan has truth. He believes the truth. He asks God for wisdom about that truth applied, and then he takes action on it.
Yeah. I think we get stuck in the like the wisdom and the belief. It's like getting to the action, like pulling the trigger is often tough.
Yeah.
But action is, I feel like action, it's like the proof's in the pudding.
So wisdom, I'm thinking about this idea that wisdom is how and when.
Yeah.
It's like wisdom is how am I going to do this? Okay, so you want me to share the gospel with the nations? Mm-hmm. How? That's wisdom. It might mean going. So the truth, Great Commission. Belief, I think the Great Commission is for me. Wisdom, how and when do you want me to be a part of the Great Commission? Do you want me to go? Do you want me to give? Do you want me to send? Do you want me to host an international student? That's the wisdom.
Yeah.
And then I act on it.
Boom. That's
I should have said that yesterday.
That's the illustration I was looking for, not the
child pornography and female castration.
Yeah,
no.
so we look at, Matthew 28, this is the Great Commission, this is the truth. We're all commanded to go make disciples. Jesus is with us to the end of the age.
Yep.
He commands this to all their disciples, whether they're believing or doubting or worshiping and doubting. That's the truth.
Yeah.
I believe, I'm a disciple, I'm a follower of Jesus. What role do I play? Like you said, am I going? Am I training? Am I sending money?
Right.
Am I a prayer
What's my
warrior?
role? How and when am I involved in this very clear command?
Yeah.
Make disciples.
Yeah.
That looks different for David, than for Michael, than for Scotty, than for Frankenstein.
Frankenstein?
Yeah, he's just joined our church. He's new. He's getting baptized.
You're going to need a bigger tub.
Yeah, well, we're using the pool.
The deep end. And then action. Yep.
Yeah. All right, well, let's do this. Let's pause.
Okay.
And then we're going to say, okay, well, God, what do you want me to learn from this? Like, all right, this is the dealio.
This is the dealio.
And so what do you want me to learn here?
Did you come back? Are you still there?
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. I was just making sure everyone else came back. We don't want them to be like, you know what, I'm out of here. But they're back. You know who else is back? Eric Brader's back.
Yeah, back from
Konnichiwa.
Japan. Yeah. Ohayou gozaimasu. Konnichiwa. Watashi wa.
What did you just say? You probably said
Ohayou
something.
gozaimasu is good morning. Ohayou gozaimasu. But then like watashi wa, they always, I was in Japan for a month. I don't know any of it, but I know that watashi wa is like something, it must mean something normal, like therefore, because it's, people say it all the time.
Okay.
Watashi wa makimashita. I'm going to look it up. Watashi wa, Japanese meaning. Watashi ma means I am. Watashi wa bilaki desu.
Oh, wow, that was impressive. Man, we are...
I can't believe I just remembered that. Watashi wa name desu is...
All right, we're gonna digress here real quick. We talk about the gift of tongues. This is going to upset some people. Bill, I believe, has a hint of the gift of tongues because you learn languages so well, and God uses that to communicate the gospel. And I just think that's just a gift that you have. When we go overseas, Bill will be, if we're in Southeast Asia, being in that culture for 2 weeks. By the end of the 2 weeks, Bill's picking up lines and phrases that he's then using to, help him communicate the gospel. So I think if we look at the gift of tongues in that light, I think that
it's a gift. Don't hide it under a bushel.
Don't hide it.
Luckily, I live in Cape May County where there's a ton of Japanese speakers.
All right. So we're gonna break this down a little bit more. We want to look at some more of the truth that's found in Scripture that we read or we believe or we don't believe.
Some examples,
and then we'll get some examples.
Oh,
so,
okay. You go.
You want me to go first?
You go first. You got it. I believe in you.
So one of the truths that I was looking at recently was in Philippians chapter 4, a very popular verse. But Paul says to be anxious about nothing, but in everything in prayer and thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will come to you. So there's this truth that if you are thankful and you give thanks to God and you come to him in prayer, that he's going to give you a peace. So that's the truth. Do I believe it? Don't I believe it?
If you don't believe it, you won't act on it.
It won't act on it. So then the wisdom is, if I do believe it, the wisdom is found later in the passage where he says, whatever is noble, whatever is true, whatever is praiseworthy, think of these things.
That's how you get to be thankful, by thinking about different things.
Yeah. So, so you have this truth in Scripture. If I believe it, I'm going to say, okay, I believe it. So now I'm going to, when I have a problem or if I'm feeling anxious, instead of just being caught up in that anxiety, which shows I don't believe the truth, I go, okay, what am I thankful for? Lord, I'm going to give this to you. The wisdom is then replacing that anxiety with thanksgiving and praiseworthy truth.
That's great. That's really good.
Thanks, Billy.
So, another example. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. The Bible says that very clearly.
Yep.
Okay, if you know your brother or something against you,
so
deal with
John.
it.
Elton John said that too.
Well,
don't let the sun... Oh, it's don't let the sun go down on me. Sorry.
That's the same thing.
Go down on anger.
Okay, and so that's what's true. The question is, do I believe that actually matters, or can I hold a grudge against my fill in the blank? Neighbor, spouse, kid, whatever. So then you say, okay, God, how do I deal with this situation? And then that might require more truth, right? Yeah. What else does the Bible say about reconciliation? And then I act on it, right? That's an example of true, believe, how, act.
Yeah. So if we're not acting, do we really believe?
Yeah, is it a truth problem? I don't know what's true. Like maybe you say, I never knew I was supposed to give, or I never knew I was supposed to get baptized, or I never knew I was supposed to, not date someone who isn't the same belief as me, or I never knew I wasn't supposed to sleep around. Like whatever it is, maybe you didn't know that.
Yeah.
But then the question is, do you believe it? As in, God says, don't be promiscuous. And you're like, yeah, but I'm a professional.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no, God says.
I'm a professional.
God says, it's a Jerry Seinfeld thing where he's talking about, he says, you know, you look at the medicine, it says, do not take this and operate heavy machinery. And he says,
but I'm a
and the guy
professional.
goes, that's for amateurs. I'm a professional.
That's true. That is true, though. I would think the same way.
You know? And so what's true? Do I believe that's true? And then the question is, how do I act on it? And then am I actually going to act on it? Because knowing is half the battle, but the other half of the battle is acting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I think what we see here, and this goes back to our earlier discussion on, you know, things like TikTok theology and kind of surface theology. We need to know our Bible.
Yeah.
We need to be in the Word. We need to dig deeper because there are these, you know, there's these things that we can learn. You know, there's Proverbs, there's things in Ecclesiastes, there's like these bits of wisdom that, you know, I know you and I have come back to, like, oh, there's this proverb, or, you know, what's the verse in Ecclesiastes that we've talked about, you know, putting your bread on the water.
Yeah.
And,
Cast your bread upon the water because you don't know what's going to happen, basically.
yeah. You know, so, we need to know our Bible. We need to be in the Word, so we can't just have a surface level theology.
Yeah.
So we know it's true.
So, David, when you think about your own life, what's true? Do I believe it? The wisdom of how do I act on it? And then actually acting, what do you think is like the big consistent disconnect?
I think the wisdom part is a challenge for me.
That's what I was going to say.
Well, we're very similar. Which kind of sucks because I want to come to you with some wisdom.
Oh, I'm good at giving other people wisdom. I'm just not good at following it.
But I think, you know, when it comes to like business decisions, you know, it's kind of hard for, like, some people are like really good, like, numbers people of like, oh, you know, it's like I've had conversations with Nick Lasser and he's like, oh, if you just sell this many units at this price, this percentage, you know, it's easy. That's this much a day. And you're like, what? And so I think I'm talking about my business, my gallery.
I understand.
That's the hard part I have, is kind of the business aspect of it, of like
business action plan. So to say.
Yeah.
How do I actually make this lucrative?
Yeah.
So that I don't have to then eat rice for the next 2 years.
Where I feel like some of the more like ministerial decisions, I have a much bolder faith of just like, I'm trusting that God will sort of provide. Like when we went to Greece, it was much more like, we're going to pray about this, and if I feel like it's clear, we're going to go. I know God's going to provide.
Yeah.
Because that was pretty much like, show up and do the work. That was the wisdom, was just, you know, the Lord had provided the money, which was a blessing. So it was like,
provided the money, provided the command, provided the desire. All it took was your family to say, yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah. So, but I think wisdom's the hard part for me, is I try to overthink all the details.
I think the hard thing for me is also wisdom, and I'm going to say that it involves perseverance, because if I don't see like some immediate traction, then I start to second guess myself.
Yeah.
So like if I say I'm going to whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to move my family to Greece, and then it's like a month in, if I'm like, this was a bad decision.
Yeah.
That's when I start to panic.
Yeah.
You know, which I didn't do that when we planted the church. When we planted the church, I was like, whether there's 10 people here or 50 or 500, like, I'm doing this.
Yeah, that was my thought yesterday, where, you know, now we can do it. I couldn't do it yesterday. I didn't want to like peek up and be like, Bill, I got a question.
Yeah.
But I was like, when you planted the church, because I knew you back then, because I didn't come to the church, but I knew you while you were planting. You were like, this is what we're doing.
Yep.
And we have 8 people. And we're doing it. And now I feel like, knowing you personally, you're much more analytical.
Yep.
And I was just wondering if you could
expound on that.
Not expound on it. Do you think there's a specific, like, I can point to when we did go to Greece, and then after 6 weeks we had to go home because of COVID. That's like making me a little gun shy to like my next big decision.
I think that the same thing for me. I think that Revolve has been awesome, and I love Revolve. But I think I maybe expected a little bit more traction in seeing disciples make disciples make disciples. And so then maybe I second guess myself because it's like, well, is my wisdom really good wisdom?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that part of that is because I don't know everything that happens. And so George might have a great conversation with his coworker that I don't even know about. And so then I get discouraged because I don't know about it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So encourage us by telling us cool stories.
Yeah. When you start, we find out about this stuff and it's like, oh, someone has a Discovery Bible study. We had no idea this was going on. And that's really encouraging to us.
And maybe we could have coached you through it instead of it teetering off.
Yeah.
If you had said to us, hey, this situation is happening. How should I deal with it?
Yeah. So do you want to, well, first off, that right there was worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
You just got like an inside, behind the scenes curtain.
That's it.
Of Elder Bill and Elder David's psyche.
That's it.
That's what you get on the Revolve Recap. Tell your friends. Hit like, subscribe.
Tell David if
buy some merch.
Should I make a TikTok? That's the real question.
So there we
Someone
go. Let's
just tell me.
So let's revisit this intro.
So we got to look ahead?
Yeah.
Because these are action steps. Yeah, this is action. We are taking action to talk.
Well, but what is hard about, but what is the truth?
Okay,
so,
well, let's pause. Then we'll look ahead.
Okay. We're going to pause. We're going to pause right now. Boom, pause. I hope that was enjoyable for you to listen to.
It was. I stretched my tennis elbow out.
Smooth jazz from Scotty Cameron. I keep asking him to write us another jingle for like the new season.
He's not into smooth jazz. Now he's into Japanese fusion jazz or something.
It's like a fight.
Ohio. Okay. Ohio. All right. So we had our scenarios at the beginning. Which was, none of this is planned. Shoot from the hip. All right, David, gallery, me, TikTok. Social media, Billy.
Yep.
The next
which is probably going to be a work for me as well, just so you know.
Yeah, it is. So
what's
so
the
these
truth?
things kind of go together.
What's the truth?
So the truth is this: God says, "Make disciples of all nations."
Okay.
Equipping baptizing them, and then teaching them to obey. Ephesians 4 says to equip the saints for the work of the ministry. Paul says in 2 Timothy to pass on to faithful people, pass on to others. That's all true. True. There's an abundance of discipleship fortune cookies. True. A lot of the content out there is very shallow. It's not equipping oriented. It's bite-size oriented, designed to get you to follow someone, but never bring you to a next step. True. Social media can be toxic. True. It can be a distraction. True. China might be stealing your data. That's all true. The belief is this. The unbelief, let's start with the unbelief. The unbelief is, I say, I don't look the part. Like, I don't look like an influencer. Like, I'm not cool.
Yeah.
I don't look the part.
Yeah.
I don't actually look like Jake Gyllenhaal.
I know. This would be at the point where if my mom was listening to the podcast, she'd be
yes,
like,
you do,
yes,
Billy.
you do. And you're like, I'm not looking for a compliment.
I don't look like Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
I don't have abs. Like, I don't have all that stuff. And so there's part of me that goes, nobody wants to see me on social media. That's like the fear. Okay. The belief goes, Bill, I know the Spirit has gifted you in equipping, and I know I could produce the content, but I'm afraid that it will just be one of 1,000 dead ends. Mm-hmm. That's like that's the false belief, true belief, false belief, true belief. The wisdom for me would be like, okay, can we actually come up with a legitimate strategy that is going to be effective? And if we can, then let's act on it. So I feel like the thing for me here is belief in a belief issue. Mm-hmm. Like, I believe that I have the content, but I don't know if I'm afraid it wouldn't work. I'm afraid it would be another failure. I'm afraid it would be another dead end. And so when I listen to myself talk, I think to myself, we don't need more devotionals, but we do need equipping. Right. Mm-hmm. And so if it can equip people to make disciples who make disciples to make disciples who make disciples, then you should do it.
Yeah.
But my fear is, but what if it doesn't work?
Yeah.
So if I was listening to me, I would say, hey, Billy, you're never going to know unless you try. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
I would say, to continue to speak into that, would be, in the wisdom act of planning it, is it something that you can create and it be a wise use of your time? Mm-hmm. So is the fruit,
Could it also benefit Revolve?
yeah, is
for
the
example?
fruit worth the effort? So if this is something that you put 40 hours a week into,
Well, I can't imagine it would be that.
I'm not saying 40,
Yeah.
I'm exaggerating, but the idea of, just for everyone who's thinking through these things, it's like that. I mean, I think that's a little bit of my worry too. It's like, if I'm going to put a lot of time into something, I want to make sure I'm getting
So an example here for you guys, and give us your feedback.
yeah.
You guys are who you are, and we're 42. And if you're our age or older, you maybe listen to an hour-long podcast, a long-form podcast. But if you're 20, maybe you don't, or maybe your kids don't, right? And so, do you think you and other people, the people would they benefit from like a 2 to 3 minute discipleship dose every day that wasn't a devotional, but it was like a discipleship challenge? Like, hey, today as you're going through your day, I want you to think about your oikos, think about your social circles, where you live, where you work. Remember the conversation quadrants, where we're actually almost like a hub prompt 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Would that be beneficial to you, as opposed to like a once a week 50-minute podcast about discipleship?
Yeah.
Or maybe one feeds the other. I don't know.
So,
Those are my questions.
yeah.
But that's what it looks like, the process.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I need to pray about it a little bit more. Say, God, I think my current step would be, God, should I do this? How should I do it? In a way that's effective. Should I, and how? I think I'm in that wisdom from God stage. I think the Apostle Paul probably would use social media if he were alive. You know what I mean? He would be strategic with it. So my question is, Lord, show me how I do this in an effective way. And if I can't do it in an effective way, then I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to waste my time.
Nobody wants to waste their time. Nobody wants to waste your time, Billy.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So, well, I think we're kind of running out of time.
No, you can't just skip.
All right. No,
I mean, some of these things we don't have to talk about.
I'm in a very similar place. I feel like the Matthew 28, Great Commission, the actual translation is, as you are going, make disciples.
Yes.
I have the opportunity. I feel like I can make a bigger impact in discipleship if I was to be teaching people, rather than I'm going to create this piece of art and it's going to, you think of like a powerful piece of art, someone like Banksy, who's like, they're making these bold statements on the wars and situation in the world. They're making people think about their money. They're making people think about war, society, all this stuff. Even if I could make that bold statement in my artwork that makes people think and contemplate their life, there's something about being in a room with people more one-on-one that I think is going to lead to a greater opportunity for discipleship.
Yep. And so I think it's similar for you. It's like you use your digital platform locally. Because what percentage of your clients, I don't know what term you use, clients are from the tri-state area? 80%, 90%?
90%, yeah.
So like you have a unique opportunity where your social media platform can drive people. It wouldn't be weird for someone to be like, hey, I'm coming to Cape May for the weekend. We want to schedule some classes like that. So you actually have an opportunity to do a lot of in-person stuff, even leveraging your presence online.
But not just teaching an art class is way different than teaching a discipleship class.
Yeah, but it's a feeder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So someone might say, I really like David isn't just an artist. Like he's actually a really nice guy and he had really interesting things to say when we were there and I'm watching him teach my kids. And that might lead them to continue that relationship in another form.
Yeah.
Not just more than just making money. It might be like, you know what? Like he had a lot of interesting, where do you get that wisdom? Oh, from the Bible.
So I think that would be kind of the wisdom portion of how do I leverage this time to be the most effective. So maybe my class starts with a Bible verse or something like that. Even if it's a general public class, I talk about, the beauty, the found in creation, or, heavens declare glory of the Lord, things like that. Maybe that could be a part of the wisdom part. So, but I think where I'm hung up right now is just financially, can we make this work? How many sales do I have to do?
Yeah. Would you have to sublet part of the space?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All those things I think are options.
Scotty talked about maybe getting a sponsor. Maybe like people could sponsor something like art supplies or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So just that's where I'm at. Just kind of working through the wisdom part of it. But is there...
So wisdom. So I think for both of us, it sounds like wisdom. It's like, God, I think for me, it's God, should I do this and how? And I think for you, it sounds like if money wasn't an issue, you would do it.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I think the question that you need to be praying for is, Lord, how do I do this? Should I do this and how? Will it be successful?
Yeah.
And so that idea, and maybe talking with a guy like Nick, who's more business minded, maybe he'd say, hey, here's a way you could do it. Like, for example, sidebar.
Yeah.
This might be from the Lord. Maybe it's not.
Maybe it's not.
There's a guy who I was talking to last week, and what he does is he buys like a property, and then like say the property has a garage on it. He buys the property, and then he uses the garage as a drop ship place for Amazon or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like a business write-off, and it's like this complex thing. So it's like the idea is like if you rent a space and a closet in it was basically like almost like subletting drop-off stuff, then that subsidizes the cost of the property.
There we go.
I could get put in cut. You could connect it. I could connect it to that.
Konnichiwa.
But that's the type of stuff he does.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think like you get the right person, they might say you could absolutely make that lucrative.
Yeah.
And he'll tell you how you can offset the cost.
Yeah.
Furbies.
But I think
Furbies.
I think the problem comes in, and I think we can probably land this plane. Oh, you do some announcements though too.
No. Announcements are done to me.
I think the problem lies if I don't make this decision because I'm afraid based off of past failures.
Well, so I think that's what was that was what was coming through my brain as I was listening to my self-talk and through you. And I said it 100 times because I heard somebody else say it, and it's awesome. And that's fear requires no faith. To believe what is true requires faith. And if all that's holding us back is our fears, that's not from the Lord.
Yeah.
The Lord says this is going to be bad for your family. The Lord says this is going to cannibalize your time. The Lord says these things. But like the reality is, I think I'm more being driven by my fears right now than my faith.
So say that again, then we'll close with it. Say it slowly.
Fear requires no faith.
Fear requires no faith.
But it does require faith to believe what is true.
What's something that you need wisdom about? What are you going to do about it?
Watashi wa bilaki desu.